So this is a new show coming up. I am truly, truly excited. I'm actually not the person that's going to start this show off. However, you will meet the beautiful Sharon. You've probably seen her over on the other platform I have, but I'm going to bring Sharon on so she can start this thing off, and I'll be back to tell you exactly who I am. Hey, Sharon.
Hello, 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 hello.
How are
Jesus
you?
Christ, if I am not anxious today with all this technology. This is new for me. I am totally coming out of my comfort zone, most definitely.
Well, how are we going to get anything done if we stay in one place, right?
Right, exactly.
How are we going to learn? How are we going to do anything if we let fear block us from doing something,
That's
right?
that's exactly right. And that's why we're doing this show today, talking about unmasking anxiety.
And I see Sharon. I got to say this because and I don't mean to be an interviewer, but Sharon, I know you. I see your name, but who are you and what are we doing, Sharon?
Well, I am Sharon Matthews Fortune. I'm a therapist in private practice. I work all day long with dynamic people who are working towards being the best them they can be, and I just sit there and act as an agent of change so that we can get to the good stuff, get to the good part where we start living and not just existing. I'm also an author, author of two books, The Truth About the Lies, What Women Tell Themselves to Keep Them Stuck with Cheating Men, and the journal and workbook that goes along with the book. That's who I am. And
That's who.
okay, now who are you, Stacy?
I am Stacy Thomas. I say unrestricted, unlimited is my brand because I always say I've yet to see all that God has for me. I am an author, a speaker, an advocate for ALS disease, and a what do I say? New film, independent film producer. So
Okay, okay.
I say blame it on the Gemini, blame it on God. It's a lot going on over here, but I am truly, truly excited after interviewing you on my platform. I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah.
Let you be the bridge tonight to bless me and others.
And I am so not used to not being interviewed. I'm used to sitting in the seat where I am being interviewed. So all of this tonight is just totally coming out of the comfort zone. I mean, it really is. And it's good. It's time to grow. I have never um, wanted to do live because of all the technology stuff that goes along with it. So
Uh-huh.
bear with me as I learn, these different platforms and all that good stuff. But Stacey, it was interesting when you and I were talking and we were trying to figure out, what's going to be the first topic that we present. And I thought about anxiety, but you came up with a really nice catch phrase, unmasking anxiety. What made you say unmasking anxiety?
I guess reading like the things that you said you wanted to talk about, and I have to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard other people say that they suffer with anxiety, but I never said that I suffer with anxiety. So when
Uh-huh.
I start Googling it and I'm seeing these different things, I'm like, wait a minute. Sharon about to tell us some things about the signs and other things that go along with it because in my opinion, Sharon, I'm going on my life, okay?
Uh-huh.
I honestly did not believe that Stacy suffers with anxiety about anything.
Yeah.
Because I look at it like the way people say it, it's an illness. I don't have that
Mm-hmm.
illness. I'm not walking around stressed. So
Right.
I'm break it down for me, please.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I wanted to, I was glad you thought about anxiety because anxiety has in clear sight. It's normal to feel stress, worry, um, not like uncertainty. All of that is normal. But I want to talk more about high functioning anxiety because I think that's what has in clear sight, the high functioning side of the anxiety. People, you would never know a lot of people struggle with anxiety because they're very high functioning. And the anxiety doesn't look like the typical textbook anxiety that you think about.
See,
So,
now you got me thinking when you say high functioning, it's like I'm
mhm.
gonna see somebody like when you say high functioning, is like you're going to see somebody overly hyped, sitting around shaking, nervous, or whatever. So
Uh-uh.
why that word?
I'm talking about the person who looks like they have it all together. The person who is productive. The person who is in the front and center, running the show or calling the shots or whatever. The person who is a perfectionist. Perfectionism is a symptom of high functioning anxiety. You know,
If someone's, I'm sorry, if someone's standing out and they're running everything, Sharon, I would never think.
right, exactly. And look, we're not gonna generalize and say everybody who's out there in the front that's running, but oftentimes the person who's out front and center, and you may say, oh, that person's type A, or that person is always in control, or that person is a micromanager, or that person is she's always on point, she's calling it, she got it together. A lot of times it's fueled by anxiety. The perfectionism aspect of it is definitely fueled by anxiety, because think about perfectionism. You want to I always try to differentiate between excellence and perfection, because you can strive for excellence, but the perfectionistic aspect of it has an anxiety component to it, because I got to get it right, I can't get it wrong, it has to be this way, it has to be that way, it can't be off, and that part of it is where the anxiety is living.
Okay. So I'm not slow, Sharon. Okay. But I need you to back up, because what I'm thinking anxiety is, or what someone else may be thinking anxiety is, based on what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing how it leads up to what you're saying. So tell me, what is anxiety?
Anxiety. Okay, so let's talk about how anxiety builds, because anxiety is the okay. You got the thoughts. The thoughts
Okay.
lead to the feelings, and the feelings lead to the sensation. Anxiety is really a sensation, right?
Right.
That comes from, it can be organic. It can come from, some people are just predisposed to anxiety. It may be genetic. Some people are conditioned to be anxiety. If you were reared by an anxious mother, or someone, in your family who reared you, who suffer from anxiety. Or it can come from the thoughts, the narrative, the belief system that you tell me. So it grows out of other things. It grows out of the thoughts. It grows out of the experiences that you have. It grows out of the traumas that you may have experienced. It's a sensation that you feel.
So my son said to me, okay, so I have one of my boys that write. He's a gifted writer, and
Mm-hmm.
I used to say, would you get in front of people and speak? And he would say, no, I have anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent that knows nothing about anxiety, I would brush it off, right?
Uh-huh.
But it is something that no matter how good you are at something,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like a fear or
It can be fear based. Definitely, fear induces anxiety. Yeah, definitely. Uncertainty induces anxiety.
so me, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun because I did read up on it. I love reading, and
Mm-hmm.
me being afraid of heights,
Uh-huh.
me being afraid of granddaddy long legs. Are you saying to me, Sharon, that this is what's called anxiety and these two fears can be fixed?
They can be, yes. They can be, yes.
Okay.
So in the family of anxiety, there are phobias. So you're talking about that fear of heights would be a phobia that you have developed, right?
Right.
But where is that fear coming from? It's coming from your thoughts, right?
I think you may have touched on this a few minutes ago, from my thoughts, or maybe something that I learned behavior from
Mhm.
somebody else or something.
Can be learned behavior.
Growing up,
Exactly.
growing up, you
Uh-huh.
see somebody afraid of something, and then you become afraid of it.
Exactly. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Can you see Sharon Williams says, I can relate. I've done spoken word before, but it still hits differently. Anxiety of crowds.
Yeah. And so William's thoughts are then what William is thinking about what's going to happen when he goes up to speak causes the anxiousness that he experiences, you know. So if you think about it in a different way, and you say, can it be fixed? Yes. If you think about it in a different way, if you change the way you're thinking about it, if you change the beliefs that you have attached to a certain situation, then the anxiety will lessen. Anxiety can be good and bad. You can have anxiety because I'm hyped up about something. I'm excited about something. And I've heard somebody say that the same sensation, the body experiences the same sensation from anxiety and excitement. The only difference is the thoughts.
Really?
Yeah. The only difference is the thoughts. So if we can change, there's a book out there that's called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. If you can change your thoughts, then you can change the way you experience anxiety.
I don't know, Sharon. Um, I mean, I believe what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to come and sit on the couch, lay on the couch.
So you believe you're going to always have that fear of heights.
Right. So I don't even know if the fear of heights came from anybody. At least I don't remember that one. What
Mm-hmm.
I got, the anxiety I get, okay, worms. I get
Uh-huh.
anxiety. I
Uh-huh.
get I get that from my mother. I know I
Okay.
get that from my mother. The
Okay.
the height, being afraid of heights, could that be something I was just born with?
Now, I think there are certain fears that are innate, because your first inclination, if you see a child, first thing they do, some children will jump when they see a spider, and some children will gravitate towards the spider. Some children will jump when they see something, and some will gravitate towards it. So we are born with a temperament. And so your temperament may have been more of, what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Excuse me.
Cautious. You may have a more cautious temperament. When you see some children, their temperaments are more, they just kind of running, they're adventurous, they are very curious, and you don't see a whole lot of fears attached to things. So you're born with that temperament, but I think, we learn how we're going to experience different
Such
situations and circumstances.
so in talking to you, you said something else interesting before this before the show. In 2025,
Hmm.
there's a lot going on, Sharon.
My gosh,
There's a
yes.
lot going on. Personalities, people, mood swings, everything. Is
Hmm.
anxiety what it,
I think
that
people are experiencing a higher level of anxiousness because of everything that's rolling out.
is it because things are happening so fast? Is it because of who was elected? Is it all, both things?
It's,
It's just everything.
it's probably a combo of everything. Let me just speak for me. Because when the pandemic came, of course, we've been through hell and
Hmm.
back. When the pandemic came, it was mass chaotic confusion. Everybody was experiencing anxiety. And Thomas says definitely traumas do cause anxiety as well. Yes, definitely traumas. Those traumas live inside of us. They say the body keeps the score. So, if you don't, and very few people have the opportunity to work through the trauma at the time that the trauma occurs. So a lot of times what we do is we move past the trauma, but we don't actually work through the trauma. And if you don't work through the trauma, that trauma will get triggered, over and over and over again. It'll get triggered and it will result in an anxiousness or a depression or something like that. But a lot of times, when you have unfinished business, is what we like to call it in the therapeutic environment. Your unfinished business will definitely get triggered and can cause you to present with anxiety. Yeah.
Does fight or flight come up under that?
So the fight, flight, fear, and then they added fawn to it. And fawning is when the people pleasing aspect, when you're trying to neutralize the situation. You know what the fight is. The fight is you're going to, challenge the stressor, the thing that's coming at you. You're fighting. People fight in different ways. The flight flight looks very different as for different people too. And then you have the fawning, which is new. That's the piece where you see the person that just tries to don't say anything, just be quiet, just let them go ahead, that really tries to keep the peace and doesn't want to rock the boat in any kind of way, and walks on the eggshells so that they don't disturb the atmosphere. So that's the fawn that they've added to it.
So I usually say the person that tells me, the friend that tells me, Stacy, don't say anything. I'm thinking, you stop acting like a little punk. I'm gonna say something.
Now,
But
you bring up a good point, because suppressing emotions can cause anxiety.
so,
You suppressing, you do well to speak,
right.
you know. But a lot of times people speak, and just because you're angry does not mean you are working through the situation. So, anger can well up and you can speak out of anger, but you still got to work through what you feel. You still got to name what it made you feel. Anger is a secondary emotion. You still got to name what it made you feel. What did that make you feel? Disrespected, um, disregarded, unseen, devalued. What did it make you feel for you to get angry?
And if I recognize what it makes me feel, and if it makes me feel better speaking my mind, then it's okay.
It's
I'm
okay.
helping. I'm helping
Yeah,
this thing of anxiety that I may have.
you can. Because if you said to me, Sharon, you made me feel devalued when you said that. And I don't like feeling devalued. So I'm going to ask you not to do that again. Okay. I hear you. You've told me what you felt. Instead of you getting angry and then you and I going toe to toe, you may not resolve it. You still got that feeling in you. I don't know what I triggered in you. And you walk away with it, but you've unloaded on me. You've unloaded some anger, some emotions on me.
Hmm.
But you tell me what you feel. And if I hear you, I'm emotionally intelligent enough to hear you and listen to what you're saying you feel. And then I respond to that. What do you think that would make you feel? How would you feel differently versus the anger?
I'd feel better if you responded it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
But you're going to be angry for days.
Yeah, probably.
So getting down to it, yeah, definitely. But the suppressing, what a lot of people don't realize is, we do the spiritual bypass and we will suppress our emotions because we say we're going to be the bigger person. And
Hmm.
being the bigger person doesn't always work. Sometimes it does produce anxiety.
So now that you said that, Sharon,
Hmm.
well, William, we're gonna get to you, okay?
Yeah. But he's right. That's the boundary thing.
The,
That's
the,
exactly what I just described. Her setting a boundary. So
so
yeah.
I guess, oh my goodness, I think I've dealt with anxiety more than I realized.
That's
That
why I
thing,
said the unmasking, right?
that thing you said, be the bigger person, Sharon, right?
Hmm.
Sharon, I gotta tell you, since we can keep it real on here, right?
That's what we're supposed to do.
Sharon,
Exhale,
I
Stacy.
gotta tell
Exhale.
you, that don't work no more for me being a bigger person, Sharon. I'm tired. You know what I think?
What?
When people tell you to be the bigger person,
Hmm.
they go to the calmest person out of the group.
Yeah.
They try to get the calmest person calm. You be the bigger person while never correcting the individual that set things off anyway.
True.
So, Sharon, I don't want to be the bigger person all the time.
True, true. You're right. So, yeah, you're right. Sometimes the that fawning happens with the person who set it off, you
You
know,
see?
and
You
you be
see?
the bigger person. Because you hear people say stuff like, "Oh, that's just how she is. Ignore her,"
Making
you know.
excuses. Is that
Yeah,
fawning? Is that fawning?
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
the next time, look at me with my new words. When somebody speaks up for some, look, quit the fawning, okay?
There
Quit the
you go.
fawning.
There you go. Speak it. Speak it. Speak on it. But you need to get to that feeling though, because the feelings are what stay with us. You know, I've heard them say, you forget what a person, you can forget what a person said, but it's hard to forget what a person, how a person makes you feel.
Right,
You that will
right,
stay with you.
right.
Mhm. And some Tawana is stress and anxiety close. Yes, they are. With stressors, you know, you can have a multitude of stressors, something that is causing you to then have the anxious response to the situation. So they are definitely cousins, the stress
So
and
if stress,
anxiety.
so if stress and anxiety are close, I mean, this I know this isn't going to happen for just everybody that's stressed, but they say stress can kill you.
Stress
Is
can.
anxiety something that can really hurt you if you don't deal with it?
Well, you know, the anxiety can cause physiological symptoms. A lot of people, Stacy, and audience, end up in the hospital. They will go thinking they're having a heart attack. And they get there and they say, no, you're having a panic attack. That's anxiety
I,
because physiologically it will have an effect on you. That's why we want to unmask it, because you don't want to carry that stuff in your body, because it will eventually chronically carrying it, you're going to have a physiological reaction to it.
so if I find myself having a panic attack to the
Hmm.
point that I go to the hospital thinking I'm having a heart attack and they say no, it's a panic attack,
Right.
how how do I prevent that type of situation from ever happening again?
And so typically the hospitals are going to send you away with an anti-anxiety medication, you know, because the medical system feels like medicine is the cure for everything. But a good doctor would tell you get into therapy. You know, don't just take medication, get into therapy. William says it can cause stomach issues and more. The GI issues, the gut and the brain are definitely directly connected. A lot of people who think they have, well, are told that they have IBS,
What's that?
irritable bowel syndrome, and some of those other GI issues. It's anxiety. Anxiety is causing those gut issues that they have. Not everybody, but anxiety is known to cause the gut issues. So it definitely has some physiological symptoms.
It's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Mhm.
See, it's just interesting talking to you, period, Sharon, because a lot of times we think it's the food that make us sick.
Yeah.
We think it's pollution that's making us sick.
Uh
But
huh.
it sounds like if we don't deal with certain things, we're making our own selves sick.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. So I got this little diagram on my phone. It's the trauma response. So the flight, when you're looking at the flight, you got the flight, the fight, the freeze, and the fawn. So let me tell you how, you know, the masking that the flight looks like: workaholic, overthinking, um, panic, difficulty sitting still, perfectionism, avoidance, hyperactivity, sadness, loneliness. That's what they have under the fight. You would think fight was arguing and, you know, confronting people and, you
Yeah,
know, just being
yeah.
real direct and all of that. But this is it shows up in different ways. You know, you're fighting the anxiety, so you're working over and over again. You know, you're overworking, you're over functioning, you're overdoing that part of it. Um, the freeze, I'm sorry, that was flight. That was the flight part of it, the flight, the avoidance.
Okay.
So, okay, the workaholic, the overthinker, the OCD, the difficulty sitting still, the perfectionist, the sadness and the loneliness. That's the flight. The fight is angry outbursts, Controlling. Did you realize, would you ever think that a controlling person is an anxious person?
No, see, some of what you're saying, like Sharon, some of what you're saying, it just really it has me thinking about
Hmm.
how I looked at certain things one way. Like when you said overworking, I've seen people, I've worked with somebody that I assumed is
Hmm.
money hungry,
Uh,
has no life,
uh-huh.
is lonely, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, obviously, I
Hmm.
never looked at it as something that they were just
They
else is going
experience.
on.
They are, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now, like we said, we're not going to generalize and say everybody, but these are commonalities,
Right.
definitely. So the fight is the irritability shows up as the fight, the judgment, of course, self harm, and then the freeze, difficulty making decisions, feeling stuck, feeling disassociated and isolated, feeling numb, shut down, exhausted, um, and sleeping a lot.
Wow. Sharon, if we're looking at the news every day, don't
Yeah.
want to look at it every day. I know you're gonna say, Stacey, back at this again. If you're looking at the news every day, you don't want to look at the news every day. You know the
Right.
news is only gonna get you mad,
Or
and
anxious.
or anxious. So
Uh-huh.
when someone says to you, this is what I'm going through, obviously now I know maybe that's a little hint of anxiety. What once again, like what is it, Sharon, though, that can be done, or is it something we really need to talk to a therapist about?
Well, all anxiety does not require you to talk to a therapist. Um, so many disorders attached to anxiety. Definitely speaking with a professional is key. Working through these issues, feeling without feeling rush or pressure to grow. Yeah, it's definitely that's definitely true. It's so the unmasking is such a perfect title because it's so many layers, and it hides in different places and it presents itself in different ways, Um, the unfinished business, though, let me say that the unfinished business where your trauma may live, where your belief system grows, you start to believe things and respond to things in a certain way, then you got to work through that. That stuff is kind of hard to do by yourself when you have unfinished business, when you're dealing with trauma. It's hard to work through that alone. Professional help definitely is necessary when you want to resolve the trauma. And there are a lot of different types of therapy that work to help people to learn how to cope in a different way, to rethink, to change the narrative, to self soothe, and all of that. And there are a lot of techniques that you can do yourself. For me, something that I just started this 2025, stretching, bodily stretching, releasing anxiety from my body on a daily basis, you know.
Really?
And I'll do a 15-minute stretching regimen, routine every day to release the trauma from my body, the stress from my body. You can meditate, prayer, you know,
Right.
journaling, exercise, distractions like listening to music, dancing, coloring, the adult coloring books that came out,
Uh-huh.
something creative. Those
That
things can assist. Uh-huh.
Miss Tawanda Roberts Parker, congratulations again. She came out with an adult coloring book. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Reminiscing,
Okay. That's the name
reminiscing,
of her book,
reminiscing,
Reminiscing. Yeah.
reminiscing. Like
Uh-huh.
when we were in those times that were good and we didn't have all this anxiety and stress.
Yes, exactly. And you would be surprised at how relaxing coloring as an
Really,
adult is.
really.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. There are a lot of different things you can do on your own. Of course, if your anxiety has gotten to a point where it's chronic and it is causing significant distress or impairment in your daily functioning, you should get help. You should definitely work with a therapist. You know, you can do
Wow.
support groups, you can do individual therapy, you can do group therapy. But yeah, you may need some assistance if it's become chronic and it's affecting you in a way. But you got to have self awareness, though. You have to be aware of the signs and the symptoms and call a spade a spade.
And see, now after you said something about trauma, here I go. Here I go.
Mhm.
When you said trauma, I'm thinking, so now she's saying that if somebody's been raped, if somebody's been part of a been in an accident, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it's not all about that. You said if there's some trauma in ourselves that we've done to ourselves.
Yeah.
Stress.
Uh huh. Yeah. Stress is definitely has a traumatic effect on your body.
So when I have an issue in dealing with people or a person, and it's never solved, or I never come to, what do I say, a mutual agreement or something,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
just keep it moving,
Hmm.
that's where the anxiety builds up.
Exactly. You're suppressing and suppressing and suppressing. And then the next thing comes. And so what you don't realize though, Stacey, is you're when you don't work on it and you move on, the next thing that happens similar to that actually triggers that first thing. And then if you don't work on the second thing that happened, now you got another layer and another layer and another layer.
About
Yeah.
to go off, fight, fight. That's that part.
There you go. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Sharon,
So
I don't know if you're watching the time. I don't know how if we're gonna stick to this 30-minute thing, because the conversation is so interesting. And Sharon,
mhm.
I would have 50 when I don't know something, I just want to know things.
Uh-huh.
Um, are we gonna have to touch back on this again, or the next time we come on, are we going to the next one?
Well, what does the audience want? Do we have an audience tonight?
We have an audience, and it looks like William, Tawanda, and it was somebody else, mainly William and Tawanda, that were doing the talking. More people watching, and I want to thank you guys. I'm going
Yes.
to remind you again, this is Exhale with Sharon and Stacy. That's Sharon and I'm Stacy. Stacy talks a lot. So
The double S.
double S. I like that. S and S. I
Yeah.
like that. I like
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah. Well, we and you can talk about anxiety forever. Definitely, you can talk about it forever because there are a lot of masks that anxiety wear. If we want to lengthen it, we could do 45 minutes so that we can, capture more of a subject matter. We
Okay.
could do that, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's someone that has a question and you want us to know, you can inbox one of us, but don't you dare inbox Sharon a question that you really should be making an appointment for and paying for.
Or that you can get the answer to right here while we talking,
Exactly,
because this
exactly.
is a safe space.
Yes.
That's what our goal is, to create a safe space to exhale, to
People,
unwind, and to, just be real.
we've
No
got
judgment, no judgment
no
zone.
judgment.
Yeah.
Right. So if
Hmm.
someone has a question, you can ask the question, or you can inbox one of us and one of us will read the question.
Yeah.
So many, so many of us, I think part of the reason we don't truly know how to recognize certain things or know when to get help is because when you say something in a household, if everybody else is not dealing with it, they're gonna
Right.
say, "Ain't nothing wrong with you.
Exactly.
You too
Yeah.
young. You too young to have anxiety. You don't
Hmm.
got no bills. You
Right.
ain't this, or you're not
Right.
that."
Or
And
even on the flip side of it, the coddler that will say, "Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay," but you're not working through it. They're just coddling you. So either way, it can go either way. Still, you don't learn how to deal with conflict. You don't know how to deal with disappointment. You don't know how to deal with uncomfortable situations.
right. I know,
So either way.
I know some coddlers.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some coddlers in my life. I'm a little different, but I got some coddlers.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, I don't feel good holding stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
If I hold stuff in, yeah, it's anxiety. It's stressing me, and
Definitely.
that's not good for me.
Right.
It's not good for
Exactly.
me.
So your release then, Stacy, is that you're going to release it in a way that actually has a resolution, right?
Fight.
Where,
No,
okay,
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. A resolution. Go ahead, share.
that has a resolution where you are getting out, you're expressing your feeling. You're
Right.
expressing exactly what you feel. Tawana says embarrassed. Embarrassed.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of people definitely experience the embarrassment, but you got to have the self-expression is so important. And I know we're not taught to do that. We
Right.
aren't taught to express ourselves, and we're not taught to set boundaries. And those
Some
are two
people
things
some
you need.
people will say when you speak your mind, some of the older people say, don't be disrespectful.
Respectful, right?
And you're merely just expressing how you feel. Don't be disrespectful.
Right, exactly. Uh-huh. And so just think about that. That could become your belief system. She said, exhale, Stacy. That's right.
Excuse me.
But that whole thing that somebody said, don't be disrespectful. We got so much to unlearn because then you walk away thinking, if I speak my mind, that's being disrespectful. So you become that person who's always stuffing stuff down because if I speak my mind, that's being disrespectful, you know. And you never speak your mind. And then you're bottling all of this stuff up. And there's the breeding ground for the anxiety.
Can you, when people come to see you, can you recognize right away when it's anxiety?
Not always.
No.
That's why I said the high functioning anxiety. Because when somebody has gotten to that, everything that we do is on a spectrum. I think everything in life is on a spectrum. Anxiety has a wide spectrum. I think William spoke about all the different disorders that go up under the anxiety family. But you got mild, moderate, severe. Now, somebody on the severe end, right away, I know, yeah, definitely that's
Really?
anxiety. Um, a person who is on the high functioning side, we may have to have a couple of sessions before I realize, oh, this is anxiety. Oh, that's what's going on with you, because they mask it well. They mask it very well. They may not bring all of the feelings, emotions, physiological symptoms in for me to be able to put together the clinical impression of them. So it may take a little while, just kind of listening to them. And most people with high functioning anxiety will probably come into therapy saying that they are struggling with something that's external, that doesn't have anything to really do with them personally. It's dealing with another person or trying to resolve a situation or something like that. And then we realize that the anxiety is there and that's why you're struggling with this particular person, situation, or circumstance.
Wow. I can think of a lot of things. The job, you may want to, now
Job.
not telling anybody to quit their job. I'm just saying the
Uh-huh.
job will bring on anxiety,
Oh, most definitely.
relationships. You said
Hmm.
trauma,
Hmm. The news.
the news.
Looking at the news. Change brings on anxiety,
Yeah. So if it's the news, okay, so you got people, they're worried. If it's the news that's stressing them or whatever, are you
Mhm.
saying before you even turn on the news, you have to fix your mind to look at it differently? Like, how do
You
you?
can you can take it in. This is, and I'll tell you my personal equation for the news because to be honest with you, I turned the news off during the pandemic because it was too stressful for me.
Right,
Um,
right.
I hear stuff and then I feel it, you
Me,
know.
same here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see at first. I didn't listen to the news every morning because I said I'm not going to start my day off with bad news.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna pray and I'm gonna get this mind right, right? But
Right.
now, like I find myself, even when I say I have this thing, I can't get right to reading or talking to people first thing in the morning. I've got to get myself together, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I say, well, the other morning I said, I'm not gonna look at the news. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
swiping across my phone because I don't want to see that. I want to check the weather. I see the news.
Uh-huh.
You see?
Yep.
I see the news because now I'm afraid I'm gonna miss something.
Right.
But that's not
Right.
gonna do anything but stress you.
Exactly. Exactly. And oftentimes it's probably best to wait till things calm down because the news is sensational. They want to
They
keep
need the
the
ratings.
audience. Yeah,
They right,
exactly.
right,
So,
right.
wait till it dies down because all this stuff that happened at the beginning of the year, if I'd have waited till like this week to start watching, I would have had a different reaction,
Yes,
a very different
yes,
reaction.
yes. We
But
get
no,
too excited, maybe.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the news, take it in, but I always say scale it. Scale of 1 to 10. How much energy, time, and attention do I want to give this? 1 to 10. And I
Wow.
bring it down to where it needs to be because a 10 is you letting it consume you. You thinking about it all day. You are starting to create narratives about what you saw. Your belief system kicks in, your old traumas that you haven't healed, then they kind of play a part and you get triggered in different ways. And it takes on a life of its own. Boom, there's the anxiety.
Wow.
But scale it. Nope. Can't get us too much energy. I got to think about it in a different way. How much energy do I want to give this? How much time do I want to give
I
this?
do try that sometimes, Sharon.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Sharon, this has been great, Sharon Matthews
Yay!
Fortune.
Well,
This has been great.
Stacey, this is the beginning of the exhale.
We've already got a list of things coming up, right?
Yeah, we do.
So
Mhm.
next week we're talking about fear?
I think next week, since we're coming like on the tail end, well, on the back end of Valentine's Day, let's do the love one. Love
Okay.
versus the unhealthy attachment.
Now I got some conversation for that one.
Let's do
Okay,
that one. So, audience, if you're interested, if you like what you heard tonight, this is our platform. This is the way you will get it raw and uncensored. And we'll be back on next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
It's gonna be great. Thank you, everybody who watched. Thank you for your questions. That makes it that much better when we have
Yeah.
interaction with people that are watching. Because at the end of the day, look at me. I got this from hearing this person say it. At the end of the day, we're here to. We all can receive a blessing.
Yes.
I think one of the blessings that you mentioned, Sharon, is just being able to exhale. I love the title you came up with, just
Yeah.
letting it out. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Um, so until next week,
Until
I
next
thank
week.
you. I thank you guys for watching.
Thank you all. And Stacy, I'll see you next week.
Let's see. Miss Tawanda said thank you. Gail Maddox Taylor.
Hey,
Please,
Gail.
please forgive me if I said your name wrong. Hey, Gail.
Now, how come I can't see the comments? See, this is technology stuff that makes me
See,
anxious.
we okay. So I didn't see Gail.
There we go.
So
Okay, Gail's love it. Hey,
see,
Gail, that's my cousin.
hi, cousin Gail. See, I didn't see Gail's comment because once again I was so busy laughing
Oh, okay,
or
okay.
or laying on a couch getting advice from Sharon Matthews Fortune. Let's see. Oh, I see you now, Gail. I see you.
Yes.
Thank you, Gail.
Okay.
And once again, if you guys got something that you think we all need to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
inbox one of us. All
Inboxes,
right.
yeah. We'll
Until,
we'll we'll talk about it.
until
All
next
right.
time, everybody have a great one.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, Stacey, how I get out of here?
I'm still here, y'all.
Okay, okay.
So
I'm here
I'm
for the
I'm
ride because
I'm I'm
I
just
don't know what to
I'm
do.
just gonna tell you what's going on
Okay.
because we use this platform, and
Uh-huh.
I don't care if y'all hear me because we use this platform. I've got commercials and everything set. My
The Stacey Thomas. You didn't
introduction.
tell them about your show, the Stacey Thomas show.
Oh, well, we have. That's how I met Sharon on the
Okay.
Stacey Thomas Show that is on YouTube on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Sharon, you have a show on YouTube? What are you doing on YouTube, Sharon?
I haven't done anything yet, but I
Oh,
am going
it's
to
it's coming. It's
start a
coming.
show. Uh-huh. It's
Yeah.
coming. It's
Yeah.
coming. Yeah.
Sooner or later, we're gonna set up a exhale with
Yeah.
Sharon and Stacy.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out how to end the live without. Let's see. Oh, I
A
I
ticket.
have it, Sharon.
Okay.
Have a great one, everybody.
All right.